2024年地表最重要的一场选举就是美国总统大选。这场可以说是川普跟拜登角力的延长赛自开打以来，在竞选策略上，两人常常发生英雄所见略同的现象。这次焦点所在 TikTok 议题上。
Now, another attempt at a ban is going through Congress, where lawmakers are trying to pass a bill that would require ByteDance to divest itself of the business or be banned in the U.S. But how do you actually ban it?
TikTok has some 170 million active users in the U.S., some of whom have long railed against the possibility of a shutdown of the app.
早在2020年，时任美国总统的川普就曾经尝试用行政命令强迫 TikTok 跟 WeChat 等海外版中国应用程式出售美国业务，但后来被法院挡下。拜登在上台后撤销了这道行政命令，可是在2023年 TikTok 又重新成为讨论焦点。这一次，拜登说他已经准备好签署 TikTok 不出售就禁止的法案，反而是川普挥挥双手，认为此举不妥。
Oh, U.S. government of America, you've made a big mistake.
根据 The Diplomat 在今年3月18日的报道提到，川普对于美国众议院强制出售中国社交媒体平台 TikTok 的法案认为 ，Without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger。显然，川普跟拜登在 TikTok 的议题上出现了略略的分歧。
Banning TikTok would be significant for the United States because it would mark the first time the country has placed a blanket ban on a foreign-owned app.
We must protect our national security and help keep America's private data out of the hands of our foreign adversaries.
If TikTok's parent company ByteDance does not sell within the next 9 months, today's legislation could mean that the app could be banned right here in the U.S. Well, today a spokesperson for TikTok released this statement that you see here on your screen. It reads, "It is unfortunate that the House of Representatives is using the cover of important foreign and humanitarian assistance to once again jam through a ban bill that would trample the free speech rights of 170 million Americans, devastate 7 million businesses, and shutter a platform that contributes $24 billion to the U.S. economy annually."
TikTok 不出售就禁止，显然对美国是很重要的事。那为何川普在2020年提出的想法会被驳回？时隔3年后，当这个议题再被提出，在处理 TikTok 的方式上，拜登有不同于川普的做法吗
？With the House passing a bill Saturday afternoon to force the app's Chinese parent company to sell the platform. The measure would give ByteDance 9 months to do that and allow the president to extend that deadline by another 90 days. If it isn't sold by then, TikTok could be banned in the U.S.
But how do you actually ban it? Under the current bill, app stores such as Apple and Google would face civil penalties if they distribute or update the app.
When you go to search for TikTok to download it, it wouldn't be there. If you already have the TikTok app downloaded, they cannot force you to delete the app, but the company also would not be able to push updates to the app. And so over time, it would become more buggy and the quality would just become so degraded, it would become unusable. Over this time, they've collected all this data. They know what their users like. They know what they want to see. They know how often they come onto the app, all these sorts of things. And so even if the government were to ban TikTok now, there's nothing in the bill that says they need to delete all the previous data they've collected.
然而 TikTok 的问题究竟出在哪里？让两任美国总统都对他伤透脑筋。或许这段 CNBC 主持人访问在奥巴马政府时期担任过美国第一位首席技术官的专家 Anish Chopra 的谈话可以提供一些想法。
And let me ask you this, because I think there's a debate, and I worry that we haven't. I worry that we don't know the full picture. How much of this do you think of as a prospective national security threat? As in, it's not a threat in the moment. It's not that TikTok, at least that we haven't seen, maybe you know something different, is demonstrably using the platform to influence in a nefarious way the American public today, but it's the possibility that they could in the future? Or do you think that they are doing something today that is genuinely nefarious?
Well, remember, there's two challenges that we're trying to address in this national debate. One is, I think, already happening, which is that data on U.S. residents is in some form or fashion in the hands of or accessible to the Chinese Communist Party. That's the kind of data privacy issue, and there are many ways in which that can be used against us, including phishing attacks to get us to mistakenly agree to release. So there's sort of, I believe that may already be and there's been accusations of this already publicly, that there's already been some of that exfiltration. The second aspect, of course, is what you're describing, which is algorithmic manipulation. And for sure, I don't know, we're not privy to I'm not in security briefings anymore, but those, to the extent that you want to get a signal, the fact that virtually anyone who's gotten that security briefing in Congress has been voting in favor of this bill gives you an indication that they're concerned. So algorithmic discrimination is a fear. We're going into an election, and you've been talking about market volatility. The two big threats are, will social media influence elections and markets? And these, as my guru, Senator Mark Warner, highlights, are the twin towers of trust in our economy.
Maybe this is a more philosophical question, Anish, but I'll ask it anyway. I mean, we're talking about a foreign adversary in China, but just as easily, there could be an adversary that is domestic. So where is the line when it comes to Congress, when it comes to their ability to allow a business to operate or not operate because they think they are nefariously acting or have too much influence over the American public?
Yeah, this is the area where we need to be vigilant as a society, assuming the bill passes, on implementation. It's very explicit that it's defined in statute what a foreign-controlled adversary is, but there is some discretion on whether or not organizations are influenced by. And there is a provision that allows the president to assert, with some public comment and feedback and engagement with Congress, what is in that maybe slight gray area about how far can this go. So I would stay vigilant on making sure this is tightly administered, but let's keep our eyes open on those definitions, because that is the key where unintended consequences may arise. And so at the moment, I don't believe these rise to the risk of concern to withdraw support from this bill, but let's be vigilant that the definitions of what is a foreign-controlled adversary and who is influenced by needs attention.
在政治上，美国要保持理性。然而，面对经济跟其他社会面向时，这样的理性是否能获得美国民众的支持？我们注意到，不断有媒体报道，在美国 TikTok 拥有 1.7 亿的活跃用户。这些人不仅用社交媒体进行娱乐，还有不少人是在上面进行商业活动。
I wonder about the economics of this as well, because many individuals in the United States in particular rely on TikTok as a job. It's not just a social media platform for fun. You know, one study with Oxford Economics, which was funded by TikTok, said just in the food and beverage sector alone, TikTok supported and contributed some $6.4 billion to the annual GDP. What does this mean for those who rely on TikTok for making a living?
Yeah, and I think those numbers are accurate. There's 170 million Americans that use the app. Small businesses rely on the apps. We've seen a whole industry around content creation. So people, this is their livelihood. And if you take it away, there is going to be severe economic repercussions that are going to come to it. And everyday people are going to feel it. So, this is a lifeline for many organizations. It's a lifeline for individuals. This is the way people are communicating. And a ban would have residual impacts and unintended consequences.
A TikTok ban would absolutely affect the millions of Americans that use TikTok to kill time, to watch dance videos. But the real hard part here would be for the people who are making those videos, the people who earn their income by either sponsored or ad content.
拜登要处理 TikTok 已经是既定事实，而中国也已经表态，不允许 TikTok 脱离母公司字节跳动。目前从中方的态度来看，不要美国市场 TikTok 在美国的获利只是回到原点，而美国不要 TikTok 会变成什么样子，可能就不比印度当年果断切开跟 TikTok 的关系那样简单了。
ByteDance is signaling, look, we're not going to divest. We would rather shut down the app entirely in the United States than sell our stake, which is, again, a very lucrative. They serve more than 1 billion people around the world. They don't want to get rid of the app entirely in their portfolio. So, I think whatever amount of money they could gain from it, probably valued above $100 billion is still not worth it compared to having the rest of the world just without the US.
Yeah, which is very interesting because actually this brings us to the pragmatism that we often see from tech companies and tech leaders, right? When it comes to sort of altering the way they do business around the world, not based on principle, but on profit.
100%. If you look at Meta and Google over the past couple of years, they've faced off against regulators in Australia, here in California, in Canada, where bills have come to pass saying, you need to pay publishers for what appears on your platforms. And instead of even negotiating in there, they just turn it off. Basically, they say, all right, now you don't get news inside of Australia or Google search results that deliver news. And eventually regulators tend to buckle. So I totally agree. I think it's a pragmatic, almost combative approach to international relations, basically, for these companies.